Well, I see the 50 basis points versus 75 or 100 as a parlor game. And I give your Steve Leisman great credit for making that the hot question at the last press conference following an FOMC meeting. And but to me, it's kind of appalling that a slip of the tongue that have Fed Chairman Jerome Powell say we're not actively looking at 75 basis points, just 50, that this could be the news of the day, as if the fate of the global economy hangs on that. And we get into these labels of a hawk versus a dove in terms of the stance of Federal Reserve officials. I think that for the real economy, what's more important is to try to analyze how exactly will higher interest rates help to bring about increased supplies of goods and services. I think we're just accepting that the Fed says we can't do anything about supply, so we're going to kill demand, and that now it's a matter of daring them to go as high as possible. I don't think it's clear at all, given that the Fed doesn't carry out monetary operations the way it did in the Volcker days. What it will really do, that is, the Fed will be paying banks and money market funds more interest to keep the money locked up in depository accounts at the Fed, doing nothing, not buying anything. So I guess that affects demand, but not channeling financial capital into productive enterprise, which is what we really need. It's the small businesses who are going to pay the price for escalating interest rates. And I think if we get out of this current inflationary crisis, it will be in spite of the Fed. What we really want to do is cut taxes, reduce regulations, have better trade and energy policies, and really unleash the American economy. It would like to grow. But right now, we're going to hit it with one more obstacle, which is uncertainty about rates, except just a general sense of gloom that it's only going to get worse.
It just seems that it doesn't make a lot of sense that if you're worried about things costing too much, that you raise the cost of doing things. Inflation is already, it slows growth. It could be recessionary. And then you combine inflation with higher interest rates, and a lot of the same people that are dealing with the higher inflation are now dealing, they want to expand or increase production. Now they're dealing with high. It just doesn't seem to make sense. And it all comes back, Judy, it all comes back to your notion that the Fed is too intertwined with the real economy at this point, and it's happened over a period of years, and it's happened slow. What do they say? Gradually, and then suddenly. And there needs to be some rule-based accounting when we finally get out of this. Is inflation worse than a recession, Judy? Because it must be. If we're willing to bring on a sharp slowdown in GDP and a rise in unemployment, inflation must even be worse. It must be the lesser of two evils.
Well, I think this is the problem in the thinking. That's a false trade-off. I think we could see recession as well as inflation, because if raising interest rates is the only thing the Fed can do, and that is not resolving the real problem, which is not sufficient supply for the pent-up demand, then you're just punishing the economy for no reason. And what is worse is there's two kinds of money now. There's the money used in the real economy, and then there's the speculative, the play money. And when we see what the European Central Bank is doing, my fear is 25 basis points does matter in that world, because you have hundreds of trillions of derivative instruments that are geared to these tiny changes in interest rates. And that is where you could start to see things come undone. And then, of course, as in 2008, a global financial crisis ultimately punishes Main Street.